We're going to start off with personal vision. Very key point. Most people go, yeah, I know this, and you skip over it. But it's one of the key things, and hopefully we can create that importance for you tonight. I always like to think about the possibilities for our life. And when we look at our life's passions, we got to understand that it really takes money and time if we're really going to pursue our true passions that are in our heart. And so this vehicle of Young Living and network marketing really has potential for you to look at going beyond a traditional income. And having the foundational skills really opens up the possibilities. We have to remember that our goals and our passions and those possibilities, they're placed on our heart for a reason. Don't ignore those. When we first started, I did that. I blocked it out. I wouldn't even go there because I had such a reality in my little world. And now it's so fun to teach this because I know that it can happen, and it's happened to hundreds and thousands of people. So now there's force behind when I say it's possible. It is possible. It's happening every day. When you walked in here, you were given a little awaken oil. Do you have that? Could you open that up and put some on your hand and then take a deep breath? And as you're doing that, I want to remind you that there's two kinds of people in this world. Those that work 40 hours a week for 40 years and live life after those hours. And there's a whole different way of looking at it, because there's some people who design their life first and then find a vehicle to make it happen. And that's what I think we're all here tonight. The oils that we have, if you look at the research, it truly does affect the neurotransmitters of the brain. And so that's why aroma and music and things like that are so powerful for memory and for intention. So really use your oils as you're gaining that intention for your business. Use that every day as you're learning, so that your mind, it's kind of like muscle memory with exercise too. Your mind can go right there. We want to now open up our thoughts to the possibilities of what our life could be. So without any restriction, don't go in the reality world. We'll figure out how to do it later. But just open your mind to possibilities in your life. Like, what do you say, someday I would love to? Someday I would love to. And as you're thinking of that, you are going to be writing those down, so think really hard. So as you're opening your mind now to those possibilities, I want you to really think that these are things that come from your heart. What is in your heart that you really feel, man, if I didn't have to go to work tomorrow, this is what I'd really want to do? That's where your vision is going to come tonight. And I love this quote. A vision we give to others of who and what they could become has power when it echoes what the Spirit has already spoken into their souls. What has spoken to you? And if those thoughts are coming to your head, write them down right now before we go further. I don't know if you realize this, because many people don't. I was talking to another colleague a couple days ago, and he said, Connie, do you realize that if we just moved up one rank every year, we would have $1 million business in 9 years? Pretty profound thought, huh? And so just by doing those steps over and over again, but your life will be exactly the same in 9 years if you don't take any action. So you get to choose to either just sit and think about your someday dreams or take action that will change your life and be able to realize your someday dreams. Jim Rohn, who is one of the best business mentors out there, he has now passed away, but he says this, and it's hard to read, but income seldom exceeds personal development. And what that means is we need to study our profession. We need to put some time in. It's like going to a new job. You have to go through the training. You have to study after hours, maybe a little bit, until you get going, until you get that foundation down, just like Phil Jackson had Michael Jordan do. Michael Jordan knew how to play basketball, but he still went back to the fundamentals. And we all have to do that, even though we think we know how it's done. And one of the things I realized is every time we went up the pay scale, it almost freaked me out a couple of times, because I knew if I wanted to get to the next level, then I had to work on myself to be the leader that people would come alongside. It's not easy changing. And it's not easy being real with yourself. And it's not that we have to be perfect people, but we do have to take the efforts to grow and be very real and honest and grateful all at the same time. So now we really are going to write the someday dreams. And these are kind of the typical ones that people say. Debt-free living, time for travel. Oh, I would love to sponsor a child. Oh, I could buy a new house. Now these are reality dreams, because I don't care what you do for a job. These things are real. So I want you to think beyond a traditional income. If your goal is to be debt-free, do you realize you will be debt-free? Then what are you going to do? What vision do you see beyond being debt-free? Think like a bank, maybe. Be the holder of contracts. Buy life insurance that compounds over time instead of just sits there. What are you going to do, right? Think about it. Time for travel. Well, anybody can travel. Where do you want to go? How often do you want to go? I love it when people have the heart for a charity of some kind. So if you want to sponsor a child, what would happen if you could sponsor 5 children? What would happen as you go up the pay scale? What if you could sponsor a whole orphanage? Think beyond a traditional income and see where your possibilities can go. There are so many people in our organization that want to be stay-at-home parents. And that was the driving force for Michael and I when we first started. We wanted to be stay-at-home parents. He got to go first and be a stay-at-home dad, because in the Air Force he was always gone and he really missed being a dad. So I kept working, and then he was able to help me resign early. Lots and lots of people are doing that. They're retiring their spouses. You see them all the time on Facebook. People are resigning. We have a couple teachers in this room who are resigning. Wouldn't it be fun to resign your spouse? What if you hired a personal chef? Give yourself a raise whenever you want. There's a person who in 4 months gave herself a $2,000 raise. I didn't get that in my whole career teaching. So just think, if you wanted a pay raise, you are in charge of that. So think beyond. What do you want in your possibilities? Really set out to imagine. No thinking, just write down 5 things that pop in your head. No, just don't think, just write them down. Okay, stop. You'll have to do the rest later. People who write regular goals earn 9% more than those who don't. Yet 80% of you will not write them down. Isn't that interesting? So how deeply do you want it? It starts with writing them down, and then you're going to figure out how to later. But dream of the possibilities. A lot of people do the dream boards. Michael and I do the dream boards. The only thing different with ours, this is somebody else's dream board from Wisconsin. But I loved it. She just sold her store. She had a health food grocery store. She just sold it because of Young Living. And now she's going to do Young Living full time. But one of the things Michael and I always did is we printed off a fake check, and we always put our visionary check in there. Now Michael went straight to the top, and I was the realist. Okay, how are we going to do that? So I was the one that would chunk that check down, okay? So if this is the check, now we have to go this check first, then this one, then this one. So have your vision check up there, but then chunk it down so that it doesn't overwhelm you. Because for me, it was overwhelming to see something big because I still was dealing with my own issues about reality. And so you want to chunk it down so that you have the first check, second, and so forth. So I usually like to have people go for a $200 check first, because that gets your products paid for, and then go up to a $500 check, and then go up to the $1,000, and then go up to $2,000, and then you can start chunking it how you like, but we want you to get to that point first so that you feel good about your business. And when I say we, I'm not doing the work for you. You have to learn the skills. You have to do the actions. But we will coach you and have training and stuff. And you've got amazing mentors in this room who will help you. And so don't forget about them. Now this is kind of that, you know, in sports where they put their hands together and they go 1, 2, 3, break. This is a great symbol, I think, for that, because when we look at Young Living, we can realize our dreams, and we can do the old team spirit thing and break. But also, the reality, you're going to want to quit 100 times. Guarantee you, you will want to quit 100 times. So you need that team around you to encourage you. You know, just like in basketball, everybody has a bad day, and your team will gather around you and say, you know what, it's okay, you had a bad day. Let's get back to the fundamentals and let's try it again. Let's do it again. And so it's the same true with our business. You are going to want to quit. And so make sure that you have that group of people that you're partnering with that you can get that encouragement from. The other thing I want to really encourage you is this business is not an alone kind of business. This business is all about movement. Just like we talked about the founder creating a movement, you're giving people the opportunity to jump on this movement. This is a huge movement that's going globally. Young Living is adding 60,000 people every month now. Do you realize how huge that is? They are buying more and more land. They are building more and more distilleries to sustain that. But know that you are part of something really awesome. So what do we do when we have those moments of doubt and where we want to quit? I want to tell you a story. This is a picture of Greece. A young man came to Aristotle and wanted to start a business. And he went to Aristotle, and Aristotle gave him the foundational basics. And he went off for a year and did everything he was told. Well, he's frustrated now, and he comes storming into Aristotle's house, and he says, I have done everything you've told me to do. I've written down my goals. I've done the action plans. I've put things in my calendar. I do things every day, and yet it is not growing. What do I do now? I am so frustrated. I think I'm going to quit. And Aristotle looked at him, took a deep breath, and he said, follow me. So they walked down these cliffs, and out onto the beach, and then Aristotle went right into the water. And this young man was following him, and then he stopped and he says, "What are you going to show me in the sea?" And Aristotle kept walking, and now he's waist deep, and the young man folded his arms and he says, "What are you going to tell me in the sea? I'm not going any further." And Aristotle says, "If you want the answer, you will follow me." So now Aristotle is out there, he's neck deep, and so he's going like this to the young man, and the young man finally comes right in front of Aristotle. And Aristotle grabs him and pulls him under the water. And this young man's flailing, and he brings him up and he gasps for air. And he pulls him down again. And now the young man is down there longer, and he's really struggling, and he's fighting. And then Aristotle lets him raise. And he comes up. "What the heck? What were you doing?" And he was just beside himself. And Aristotle said, "Now, young man, when you have a deep desire as much as you wanted that last breath, then you will be successful." So remember, the power of desire is very, very powerful. It has to be where it's so important to you that it's like your last breath before you go under. And so remember that story when you start thinking about your businesses. One of the things that drove me, many of you know what happened to my family, and I was determined to get up every day and change the statistics. That drove me like nothing else, because I could not stand the tears that we cried for those 2 years. And so that drove my heart, and it was as important to me as anything could be. And that's the power of desire. Because if I just went into this to sell some health products, that wasn't real exciting, even though they're good products. I really wanted to make a difference. And so think about that as you go and think about your businesses. Because you are a living magnet. What you attract into your life is in harmony with your dominant thoughts. If you have passion in your heart and you have belief in what you are doing, people know that. They respond to that. If I come up to you and say, "Oh, I have these great health products, you should try some of them." Well, there's a gazillion health products. But if I come to you with that, knowing what I know and how they have helped people, can people feel that? You bet they can. Tell your stories. Tell those testimonies, because it really does matter. You need to catch yourself on fire and really know deep in your heart what you do matters. Okay, so now we're going to pull all of this together into your business story so that you can walk out of here tonight and tell it. Everything that I have on this training is done through books. And we have, I'll be talking about that, but one of the key foundational books is Sarah Robbins. And this lesson that we're going to do right now is on page 64. We have these books for sale. It's very important that you have the 4 key foundational books in your library to start this business. You're going to invest about $35 maybe, I don't know what it is, but now you've got your library for success. You duplicate, and then you pass those same 4 books on to the next person. Make sure they have them. And then make sure that person, you're going to mentor that person so they get those key 4 books for their person. Does that make sense? You want to be system driven. Don't be the superhero sponsor. You'll make yourself exhausted. You want to duplicate. You don't want to be the expert. You want to be partners with somebody. So in Sarah Robbins' book, she asks these questions. Who are you? What's your background? Are you a nurse, a teacher, a custodian? Who are you? Why were you looking for an opportunity? Are you tired of the budget cuts? Are you worried about your future? Do you want retirement? Why were you looking? How did you find Young Living? Did somebody introduce it to you? Why did you join? What are the results that you've seen so far? And what has excited you the most? I'm going to read her example, and we're going to use the same words. You can teach somebody to write their business story in less than 5 minutes. Make sure that you have yours. This is Sarah Robbins. I was a teacher by trade looking for extra income as my job stability was really suffering with the economy. My friend Chris introduced me to the business. What initially attracted me was the ability to supplement my income in part-time hours around the needs of my family and classroom. In very part-time hours, I have been able to supplement my teaching income. With my growing business, I am on track to match my teaching income by the end of the year. This business is providing me the security that my family needs without the worries of budget cuts. The only thing that we have added is we put an "and" at the end of that because we want your personal vision to be on there. If it's in your heart, your dream will be realized. So what do you want to do with the possibilities? Do you want to help other families? Do you want to support an orphanage? Do you want to buy a new car? So now it's your turn. Very quickly, in 2 minutes, I want you to write your story. I was a what by trade? And we were looking for Young Living initially attracted us because with part-time hours, could be I'm on track if it's your business. With very part-time hours, I am on track. And it doesn't have to be the full salary if you're just starting. I'm on track to meet my first vision check. We're going to show you the 5-year plan tonight. So within 5 years, we are on track. So, and then this business provides security for my family. And Sarah Robbins says, don't you dare use wimpy words. If anybody says, I hope this business will provide security, you're being kicked out the door. It has to be strong words. With this business, I will. And then add an and. We like to add the and because Young Living really makes it possible to live your possibilities. If you haven't been able to write fast enough, please get this book. You should all have this. Every person in this room should have this book. Why is creating and telling this story so important? And when you tell that story again and again and again, then what happens? Becomes reality, yeah. You've got conviction in your heart. You've got belief and you've got focus. Anybody want to share one story quick? Anybody want to share their story?
Hi, my name is Angie Lauterbach. I was a social worker by trade looking for a natural pain reliever for my family. 2 of my children have osteogenesis imperfecta. I was also looking to be able to stay home with my children and have a more flexible schedule. My friend Kim introduced me to the business, and what initially attracted me was the ability to supplement my social work income. And with my growing Young Living business, I am now on track to match my social work income within the next 2 months. This business is providing our family financial security and allowing us to experience activities we never would have been able to do without the Young Living business.
I was an elementary music teacher by trade and looking for a way to be in control of my own time and not be overwhelmed with a full-time job, 3 busy kids, and an ailing mother. A fellow teacher and friend, Connie, introduced me to the oils to help my health, and she also suggested that I consider Young Living as a business. What initially attracted me was the opportunity to cut back on my day job and have the flexibility of time and a side income. With very part-time hours, I was able to have that side income, then replace my salary as a teacher, and now I look forward to growing my salary exponentially. Young Living has afforded me and my family a wonderful amount of flexibility of time, financial security, and a whole goal-setting way of life to make our dreams come true.
Now, thank you for sharing that. I want you to tell your story to someone in the next 2 days. Many of you hold your stories in. These stories have to be told. You have to open up and share those stories because you are messengers of hope. And just think of the hope that you give other families to have that financial peace, to have that financial peace started for their children. Just think of your own portfolio. We can, well, I'm going to show you that momentarily where this can go as just a portfolio alone. It will outpay any investment you have. So let's tell our stories. There are so many people looking for options. I love this quote by E.B. White, author of Charlotte's Web. I wake up every morning determined to change the world and have one hell of a good time. It makes planning my day difficult. Let that passion shine through. Remember the photograph at the beginning? You want to feel that passion every time you sit down to do your business. It's not an easy business, it's an emotional business, but really sit there when you visualize your vision, know that it's all worth it.